So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of our invertebrates, animals that don't have backbone. And the specific types of animals I'm gonna talk about are different aquatic, which are freshwater or marine saltwater snails that we have in Hawaii. The first one I have right here, this animal is called a hihiwai. Hihiwai are found in our stream systems, and they're also consumed. They're collected for consumption. They taste really good. Hihiwai, they come out at night mostly, and they hide under rocks in the streams in the day. Sometimes you can only find them by like feeling the bottom of the rock, and you might feel one stuck to it. And the hihiwai, they can also be used as a whistle. So I'll try and show you if it might work, it might not, but I'll try. So you hold the hihiwai like this after the animal is gone. If you eat it or if you find it like this, then you turn it upside down and you go like this and you try and blow into it. Just like that. It didn't do it too well for me on that one. But the hihiwai, I believe they can live for a really long time. I don't know if anyone's measured their age, but what they do is they crawl along the rocks, they feed on algae that's on the rocks, they scrape it off and eat it. And they also lay their eggs on rocks too. And they'll look like these little white dots on the rocks sometimes. And if you see it up close, that's a hihiwai egg. They appear black on the outside, so they blend in really well in the rocks. But the bottom side has this nice bright orange color. So that's just one example of the Ike our kupuna had. You could use this as a signaling device to tell people where you are in the forest, possibly. If you get lost, you never know. Or communicate with people just by having a little shell on you. So the next animal I'm going to talk about is 3 different types of opihi, or also known as limpets, that we have in Hawaii. And all of our, these 3 species are native to Hawaii, and they are found in the intertidal areas, so along the rocky shorelines where the waves crash against the rocks. That's their preferred habitat. Opihi, there are 3 main recognized species that locally people know of, but there's actually a 4th one that it only occurs in a few islands in Hawaii, which I don't have today. But I'll start off with the first species of opihi that's found the highest up along the shoreline. And this is the Opihi makaiuli. Uli it means dark, a dark color in Hawaiian. So the makaiuli opihi looks like this. They have this real pointed shell, and they are found highest up on the shoreline of all the opihi. If you turned one over, they have a dark gray color, and the foot of the animal, that's like the main body part, is a bright green. And that's unique to this species. So that's the Opihi makaiuli. Next we have, further down on the shoreline, what's also known as the yellowfoot opihi, or the Opihi a lina lina. And the yellowfoot opihi is the one that people primarily target for collection. If you see them like also sold in stores in like poke section, most people will catch this species for commercial sale. And Opihi a lina lina, all opihi in Hawaii cannot be harvested unless the shell is larger than a diameter of 1 1/4 inches. So this Opihi makaiuli is just about a legal size, just a little over the legal size. While this Opihi a lina lina is bigger than is a good size one for harvesting. Opihi are important because they consume limu, algae on the rocks. They provide food for other animals. There's predators of opihi that eat them, different snails, crabs that feed on them. And also they're important for a food resource for humans as well. The Opihi alinalina has a yellow foot. If you ever saw the animal in the shell, it would be a yellow, bright yellow color foot with sort of this clear banding around the edge. And then finally, our third Opihi, Opihi ko'ele. And Opihi ko'ele are the largest of the three Opihi species. They grow to be sometimes very massive, bigger than my hand would be a really big one. And Opihi ko'ele live in the submerged area in the intertidal. So they're right at where, a lot of times they're under, right where the waves are crashing on those rocks, right in front of the shore. And while the Opihi alinalina are like a little bit higher up in that pink rock area, you know, where there's limu, sometimes different snails up there as well with them. And so ko'ele is a little deeper. The Opihi ko'ele, they have that sort of a yellow color too, to their body, to the foot of the animal. But to me, not as vibrant and bright as the alinalina. But you know the ko'ele when you see it, because it's usually big like this. And Opihi have many uses. The shells have many uses. They can be used to scale fish. They can be used to clean kalo after it's cooked, and wala, sweet potato. And some, I've heard of cases with Opihi on Koho'olave where they're so big they can be used as bowls for putting food and eating out of. So the Opihi has many uses. A scraper, they can be used to prepare food and also to eat as a food resource. But in Hawaii, our Opihi populations have been found to be in decline. While there's not a lot of evidence, we do know that commercial harvesting of Opihi can have a big impact on their populations. Opihi are very expensive. They're sold usually between 25 to 30 bucks a pound with the shell. Without the shell, they're sold for hundreds of dollars, $300 to $400 sometimes for a gallon of Opihi. And that high value, monetary value, commercial value of the Opihi is one reason why we need protections to ensure their populations can have time to regrow, replenish, and we need to prevent over-harvesting of the Opihi and allow them to continue their reproductive cycles. So having a minimum size limit is one thing. Having a no-take areas. On Maui, there is Opihi rest areas, which are voluntary protective areas in Kipohulu and Mu'olea, which are great examples of communities working to try and protect their marine resources. So that's it for the Opihi. The next shell I'll be talking about is commonly known as a leho in Hawaiian, or a kauri. And we have many kauri shells in Hawaii, many species. They're really beautiful colors and patterns. These ones you can see are spotted. These are the tiger kauris, what they're commonly known as. Kauris come in many shapes and sizes. They're important in the marine ecosystem because they feed on things like sponges, other animals, other things that are not commonly, I guess, consumed by a lot of species. And so they help to play this role, you know, in feeding on different benthic or species that are attached to the bottom. But they're also a food resource for animals that like to feed on them, like the octopus, the he'e. And so one way that, one type of traditional Hawaiian fishing method for catching the he'e, the octopus, is using the kauri shell to make a lure for an octopus called a luhe'e. And the luhe'e is made by attaching a stone of almost an equal size to the shell, to the opposite end, right here. And then in between that is a stick that has a hook on it. And how it's used is you drop down the lure in front of the squid, in front of their hole, and then wait for it to pounce on the kauri shell. and then you pull up on the lure from the line that you have attached to it, and you pull in the he'e. That's what the main way that our kupuna use the kauri shells. In other places in the Pacific, they're used as ornaments, jewelry, and different types of shapes and sizes of the lure, different modifications, but using the sort of the same idea of the kauri shell. And so the leho too, also if you turn it over and you look, this is where the animal lives, inside of the shell. And if you put your ear to it, you can hear the ocean. But you're not actually, when you put a shell to your ear, that noise you hear is actually a reflection of sound from the water that's contained within your ear. So that's actually what you're hearing, is what's going on in your ear. But we just don't notice it because we don't have something maintaining the noise in this certain way. The next shell I'm going to talk about are cone shells. And while we have many species of cone shells in Hawaii, the two that I'm showing you right now are two that are known to be venomous. Some cone shells are venomous. These two that you see are predators, and they can kill a human being. That's how strong their venom is. So these two species, this is the striated cone shell. This is the cloth. Some people call this the cloth of gold cone shell. These two animals are predators that feed on live animals. Like this one feeds on fish. And so if you imagine, if you're a cone shell, a slow-moving snail, how do you catch a fish? You need a very powerful poison to kill one instantly. And so this animal has a toxin that shuts down the nervous system of animals that are very mobile, like fish, very quickly. And that's why it's good to, in terms of talking about ocean safety. If you didn't know, you might see this shell on the bottom of the ocean and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna grab it. What you don't know is the animal living in here can kill you, and that what it does is it shoots out what's known as a proboscis from here that has a spear tip that can wrap almost around the whole length of the shell outside and poke you if you're not careful. The same with this one. So these animals have survived for millions of years in this way. They evolved to have these specialized anatomy and venom, this poison, which I don't believe there's a cure for. So you better be careful if you think you're gonna mess with a cone shell. One giveaway to poisonous cone shells, some of them have this triangular pattern, and that's kind of a sign, one sign that it's a poisonous shell. Not all of the ones with the triangles are poisonous, but these two are. So, and cone shells also had uses in Hawaii. Our kupuna used them as files. The edges, as these broke into pieces, were very good to be used as files for sharpening things, for crafting different devices. And also, some cone shells could be used as drill bits. The real skinny ones, known as augers, those could be used as drill bits. So all kinds of uses for these things. And one unique way I've seen of using these cone shells are to use them as the cork or the cap in a ipu vai for drinking water. That's also another use. So cone shells, yeah, many types in Hawaii. It's best to leave them alone. These two I found without the animal in the shell. If you want to see if it's empty, use a stick or something besides your body parts to look if the animal is in the shell, which you can find out by flipping them this way, and you'll see them usually, the body inside here. But don't mess with the cone shells.
So he leo mahalo kia ia o ko pakahi a pau no ka hui ana, no ka ho'onanea pū ana me mākou, no ka ho'oka ike, no ka ho'olohe ana I ka ike Hawaii o kia makumu. Mahalo nui for all of you tuning in with us throughout these past days and really, engaging in the ike that has been shared from all these wonderful mentor and kumu of Maui, of Hawaii. He leo mahalo keia, again, mahalo to Kaehu, again, mahalo to all the people who shared and engaged with us in our keiki and our community. And again, this is encouragement to all you folks to find that space in your own community to learn, to engage, to share, to create relationships with Aina and with people and learn more and share more in the culture in the Aina, and I'm so happy to be able to share with you folks today and throughout these past days. So mahalo piha ia o ko pakahi a pau o wau no o ka hakuriti kamara ma ka ehu a hui ho launa pu ho kako I ke kahila a hui ho.